Welcome to the Calcutta Race's Spring Meeting 2022 4-day Saturday 26 February race preview. The first race of the afternoon is the Amur handicap for horses rated 1 to 26 to be run over a distance of 1400 meters. First three runners we are looking at is number 1 Azai in race number 74. Azai, who took the turn in 7th spot, made up some ground and finished on 4th. We also had number 5, which is Regency Gold, who was slow to begin, then took the turn in 10th spot, made up a place and finished on 9th of 12 runners. And we also had number 7, Mystic Prince, who was racing in 9th spot, eventually finished on 6th. The winner here was Wencheng. Next up we got number 2, Southern Light. Southern Light, one run for Southern Light in this season, where in race number 20 over 1600 meters, took the turn in 3rd spot. When asked for an effort, Southern Light didn't really accelerate, was a little flat-footed and eventually finished on 5th of 12 runners. The winner here was 3rd Avenue. Number 3 is Ashwamegh. Ashwamegh has had 5 starts so far. It's placed a 4th couple of times, including in its last start, where in race number 75 it took the turn in 5th spot, made up a place on the wide outside, as you can see on your top screen, and eventually finished on 4th of 7 runners. The winner here was Star Justice. Number 4 is Blazing Bell. Couple of starts for Blazing Bell in this season, has finished 11th in each of the 2 starts. In his last start, Blazing Bell took the turn in 11th spot, tried to make a run on the outside, but then the jockey didn't get any response from Blazing Bell, eventually finished on 11th of 13 runners. The winner here was Mandolin. We move on to number 6, Mr. Gucci. Couple of starts for Mr. Gucci. First is finished on 8th and 6th in race number 35 behind Indian Tiger. In his last start, Mr. Gucci took the turn in 5th spot and eventually finished on 7th of 8 runners. The winner here was Forevermore, who came up on the wide outside and took over the running and won that race. We move on to the second race of the afternoon, the Eastern Air Command Cup for horses rated 41 to 66, rated 21 to 46, eligible to be run over a distance of 1400 meters. Couple of runners we are looking at in race number 75, that's Big Star. Big Star took the turn in 5th spot, then eventually finished on 5th. We also had number 2, Pontius Pilot. Pontius Pilot has had 6 starts in this season. In his last start, it took the turn in 9th spot and stayed on in 9th. The winner here was Agnostic, who won that race by a length and a half. Couple of runners here. Number 3, Louboutin. Louboutin, first start of the season in race number 24, finished on 2nd behind Dundee Satyagraha. In his next start, it finished on 7th behind Legendary Striker. In his last start in race number 69, Louboutin was racing in 5th spot, then eventually finished on 4th behind Delphine. We also had number 4, D Knight Mysore, who was at 5 starts. First it finished on 3rd behind Dundee Satyagraha, then it finished on 2nd to Ailani. In his last start it finished on 7th. The winner here was Delphine. Couple of runners again. Number 5 is Sherwin. Sherwin was a winner in his first start of the season in race number 30, where it got the better of Magnite. Then it finished on 4th behind Top Notch in his next start. In his last start, Sherwin was travelling in 8th spot, made up some late gains and finished on 4th. We also had number 9, which is Immeasurable. Immeasurable came down from Western India, and his first start was on a start to finish mission but ran out of gas and eventually finished on 5th of 10 runners. The winner here was Mogul. Couple of runners. Number 6 is the Flying Eagle. The Flying Eagle had a change of name, and what a performance that was in race number 66. It took the turn in 5th spot but was cruising into the lead. Into the last 200 meters, the Flying Eagle took over the running and went about 2.5 to be clear. And we also had number 14, which was Secret Pearl. Secret Pearl was the one which won in his earlier start in race number 28, getting the better of Rare Bird. But in this race, Secret Pearl warmed up late and got into the place money, finished on 2nd. Number 7 is Eastern Crown. Eastern Crown has had 4 starts so far. In race number 41, it finished on 3rd behind Nova. Race number 46, it has finished on 2nd behind 3rd Avenue. In its last start, Eastern Crown took the turn in 6th spot, weakened and finished on 7th of 8 runners. The winner here was Basharat, won that race by about half a length. Next up, we got a couple of runners here. Number 8 is Memorable Memories. 5 starts for Memorable Memories. Hasn't yet placed in any of them. His best start was in race number 54, where it went over 1100 meters and finished on 4th to Legendary Striker. In his last start, Memorable Memories took the turn in 8th spot and eventually finished on 7th. It was noted after the race that it had a slightly slow beginning. We also had number 12, which is Rare Bird. Rare Bird has won a race in race number 6, where it got the measure of UV. Since then has placed a couple of times in subsequent starts. Number 10 is Atom. Atom has had 4 starts, finished on 2nd in race number 56 behind Top Notch. In his last start, Adam took the turn in 3rd spot, weaved a passage towards the inside for a while, took over the running, but Little Finger kept on fighting doggedly and Atom fell short by the closest verdict possible by a nose. Next up, we got number 11, the Whistleblower. Whistleblower first finished on 4th behind Daring Heart. Next start, it finished on 12th behind 3rd Avenue. In his next start in race number 46, it finished on 4th behind 3rd Avenue. In his last start, Whistleblower took the turn very wide, made up ground towards the last 200 meters and came with a big run. But the race was already over as Discover had got a winning lead and Whistleblower settled for 2nd spot. Number 13 is Santana. Santana, after finishing on 2nd in his first start of the season in race number 26 behind Who Dares Wins, in his last start, Santana was racing in 3rd spot as it took the turn, but then took charge and won that race by about 3 parts of a length, beating Trebian. We move on to the third race of the afternoon, the Indian Air Force Cup for horses rated 61 to 86, rated 41 to 66 eligible to be run over a distance of 2000 meters. First runner we are looking at is number 1, Panacea Glint. Panacea Glint was a winner in race number 31 where it went over 1400 meters, went on a start to finish mission and got the measure of Black Pearl. Subsequently, Panacea Glint has finished on 8th in his next start behind Tigrio. In his last start, Panacea Glint was travelling in 2nd spot, then eventually finished on 4th behind Agnostic. Couple of runners here. Number 2 is Kimaya. Kimaya, couple of starts for Kimaya. First up, it finished on 6th in race number 57 behind Tigrio. In its last start, Kimaya was travelling in 2nd spot, then weakened and eventually finished on 4th. We also had number 3, Justified. Justified was a winner in race number 38 where it went over 2000 meters, got the measure of Cliffhanger. In his last start, Justified was travelling in 1st but weakened and finished on 3rd. The winner here was Cliffhanger. Next up, we got number 4, Cletus. Cletus, couple of starts for Cletus. First in race number 57, where it was a little slow to begin. Eventually came out and finished on 4th. In his last start, it was also slow to begin. Took the turn in 5th spot, stayed on in 5th, and the winner here was Tigrio, who won that race almost by 3 1/4 lengths. Next up, we got number 5, Dornish. Dornish has 3 starts so far. It finished on 3rd in race number 46 behind 3rd Avenue. In his last start, Dornish was slow to begin, but then took the turn in 4th spot, then took charge into the last 150 meters and drew away, won that race by almost 4 1/4 lengths, beating Magnite into 2nd. We move on to the 4th race of the afternoon, the Comedy of Errors Handicap. For horses rated 21 to 46, rated 1 to 26 eligible to be ridden over a distance of 1100 meters. Number 1 is Ember Glow. Couple of starts for Ember Glow. First it won in race number 9 where it got the measure of Indian Tiger over 1200 meters. In its last start in race number 26, Ember Glow was travelling in 4th spot, trying to make some late passage on the wide outside, but finished on 3rd. The winner here was Who Dares Wins. Next up, we got number 2, Littlefinger. Littlefinger in his first start in race number 26 finished on 4th behind Who Dares Wins. In his last start, Littlefinger went on a start-to-finish mission, drifted out on the outside alarmingly, but then fought on doggedly and staved off the late challenge by Atom, won that race by a very close margin of nose. Three runners we're looking at is number 3, Mr. Batola Baz, who's had quite a few starts, was a winner in race number 1, where it got the measure of Paisley. Since then has placed a few times. In his last start, was in front as they entered the home straight, tried to kick away from the field but was caught close home and eventually finished on 3rd. We have number 6 is Indian Star, who ran a little wide throughout, was in 2nd spot but eventually weakened and finished on 4th. We also had number 7 is Wandering Angel, who was in 5th spot and stayed on in 5th, almost 9 lengths from the winner, which was Namiki. Next up, we got a couple of runners. Number 4 is Crypt. Crypt has had 5 starts in this season, has placed in 3 of his first 3 starts. In his last start, Crypt took the turn in 7th spot, stayed on in 7th. We also had number 9, which is Berluti, who's had 3 starts, has been unplaced so far. In his last start, Berluti went on a start-to-finish mission, but weakened very rapidly and finished on 8th of 8 runners. The winner here was Debut Scar. We got number 5 is Mystic Star. Mystic Star has had 4 starts without placing in any of them. First it finished on 8th behind Rarebird in race number 6. Then it finished on 5th in race number 28 behind Secret Pearl. Then it finished on 6th behind Paisley in race number 50. In his last start, it took the turn in 11th spot, made up a couple of placings and eventually finished on 9th of 11 runners. The winner here was Santana. Next up, we got number 8 is Bunting. Bunting has had a couple of starts in this season. First in race number 3, it finished on 10th behind Sea Lion. In his last start, Bunting, who was installed the favourite, was travelling in 2nd spot for a while, took charge. But there was a late surge by Mose, who came up and challenged for the lead. And in a ding-dong battle, Bunting fell short by a short neck. We move on to the 5th race of the afternoon, the Tollygunge Club Cup for maiden horses 3-year-old only, to be run over a distance of 1200 meters. First, we look at number 2. Too Much Politics has had 3 starts, has not placed in any of them. In his last start, Too Much Politics was in 6th spot as they entered the home straight, stayed on in 6th. The winner here was Leonardo, who won that race by a widening margin of 5 1/4 lengths. Next up, we got 2 runners. Number 4 is Misty Grey. First up, Misty Grey finished on 2nd behind Social Truth. In his last start, Misty Grey was a little slow to begin, was 2nd last as they took the turn and eventually came out and finished on 5th. We also had number 5 is Sonata, who took the turn in 2nd spot and then chased the leader, but then weakened into the last 150 or so and eventually finished on 3rd. The winner here was Tuscany, who won that race in a close finish. We move on to the feature race of the afternoon, the Governor's Cup for horses rated 95 and above to be run over a distance of 1600 meters. First up, we got number 1, Shivans, who's the winner of a couple of starts in this season. In race number 18, where it got the measure of Violin. In race number 47, where it beat Rainbow Trout. In his last start, Shivans in race number 81, the Queen Elizabeth II Cup. It was travelling in 7th spot, stayed on in 7th. We also had number 3, Tudor Hall, who was a winner in earlier start in race number 32, where it got the measure of Shivans. In his last start, Tudor Hall came up late and finished on 4th behind Parisian. Couple of runners again. Number 2 is Psychic Force. Psychic Force has had a couple of starts. First, it finished on 4th behind Tudor Hall. And in the last start, Psychic Force finished on 6th of 7 runners behind Parisian. We also had number 4, Consigliere, who has had 3 starts, generally likes to run to the front and make the pace, but in his last start took the turn in 2nd spot and eventually finished on 7th of 7 runners. Next up we got number 5 Tigrio. Tigrio switched base from Western India. First started as in Calcutta. In race number 57 it beat Agnostic. In his last start, Tigrio was travelling in 4th spot. As they entered the home straight, it burst out of the pack. Won that race by about 3 1/4 lengths, beating Mountain Lion. We move on to the 7th race of the day, the Brave Gesture Handicap. For horses weighted 21 to 46, weighted 1 to 26 eligible to be run over a distance of 1600 meters. First up, we got number 1 Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch in his last start took over the running, went about 8-9 clear into the home straight. Scarlet Witch got caught up and eventually finished on 5th of 8 runners. The winner here was Basharat, who got the inside passage and won that race in a close finish. Next up we got number 2 UV, who has had 4 starts. His best start was in the early part of the season, where it first finished on 2nd behind Rarebird in race number 6. Then it finished on 3rd in race number 24 behind Dandi Satyagraha. In his last start, UV took the turn in 7th spot and eventually weakened and finished on 9th of 9 runners. Number 3 is Goldborn. Goldborn had his first start of the season, where in race number 61 it took the turn in 9th spot, but was travelling widest of all, as you can see on the top of your screen with a white cap, and came up very late into the race and finished on 3rd behind Mogul and almost 5 lengths from the winner. Number 4 is Apnatai Maiga. 3 starts for Apnatai Maiga. After failing to place in his first 2 starts, in his last start, Apnatai Maiga, who was under a ride about 800 meters from home, but was the one which really moved late into the race and eventually came out and finished on 2nd. And that was definitely an eye-catching run today. Gaurav Singh takes the mount, a kilo off. Let's see how Apnatai Maiga does today. Number 5 is Divine Chakra. Has had 4 starts in the season, has not really placed in any of them. Generally likes to go to the front. In his last start was held back and took the turn in 9th spot. Did not change anything. Eventually finished on 10th of 11 runners. The winner here was Delphini. Number 6 is Mandolin. After having a lung opener in race number 30, where it finished on 4th behind Sherwin in his last start, Mandolin was in a bitter battle with the horse, which eventually came a cropper, and Mandolin then was left all out in front, won that race by almost 2 1/4 lengths and beating A.D. Lorraine. Number 7 is Aggression, who's had 4 starts so far. Its best start was his last start in race number 79, where it took the turn in 6th spot. But you can see Aggression in a white jacket with the blue spots making some late gains and finished on 4th behind Devyushka. Number 8 is Amazing Dream. Amazing Dream has had 3 starts. In its first start, it finished on 5th behind Emberglow. Next start, it finished on 7th in race number 30 behind Sherwin. In his last start, Amazing Dream took the turn in 10th spot, a very lonely 10 in the last spot. Then really didn't have much to offer. Finished off far away last behind Littlefinger. 3 runners we look at. Number 9 is Wind Chaser, who has had 5 starts so far. Its best start was in race number 48, where it finished on 2nd behind Centurion. In his last start, Wind Chaser warmed up late, as it likes to do, and eventually came up with a run and finished on 4th. We had number 10 is Nazakat, who's had 3 starts, placed in his earlier start in race number 11 behind the Protector. In his last start, Nazakat finished on 5th of 11 runners. We also had number 12 Arrow, who's placed in his earlier start in race number 21 behind Vanguard. In his last start, it finished on 7th. Next up, we got number 11 is Venching. Venching, its first start of the season, and what a start it was. It travelled in the 5th spot at the end of the home straight, then made up a passage down the centre, and then got into a duel with Castillo. But into the last 100 meters, Venching really got stronger and drew away from Castillo and won that race by almost 3 parts of a length. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you at the races, all on our YouTube coverage.